All right, everybody. It's your boy, Wavy Tom, the one and the only. Where's the camera? Right here. The one and the only Wavy Tom. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week or day or whatever's going on in your life as of me or you seeing this from me. Um, I'm gonna try and make sure I look at the camera because I'm looking at myself too at the same time. But it's gonna be the first iteration of this, and I think that I have the equipment and the platform necessary now to do this. And I want to do it in the way um, that fits me in my style and like the way that I want to enunciate and articulate like what this is basically. And what this is honestly speaking, like I've done, if you've kept up with my channel to any kind of degree or whatever, I've done talking with Thomases. I've actually done it with guests. I've done it with so many people. I've done um, like podcasts with like other like people and stuff like that before. But I'm not sure if this is going to be under or is going to fall under that talking with Thomas category, but it definitely is going to follow under some type of category where I get to come up on here and express my opinion on things, whether it's religion based, whether it's like society based. Like I want to make this something where people can come ask me questions and they'll get a viable answer because the way I operate in my life and the way I operate with people around me is that I always like to get to the bottom of things. And I always like to find out what works, what doesn't work, what the most ethical, moral, whatever solution is possible to get out of a situation or to fix something or like whatever the best course of action is, basically. So when it comes to that, I feel like I'm not gonna lie, like there's really not that many people better than me at doing that. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's whether that's me being cocky, whether that's me being, excuse me, assertive, whatever it may be, what I'm saying, let's handle that. And I'm gonna handle that for you. So if that means people, my Instagram and everything's gonna be always be in the description of videos. You want to DM me questions, you wanna ever like do a live format of this, we can. But basically this is, I don't know what it is. Maybe it'll be like Thomas therapy or therapy with Thomas, or I don't know. Like I'll figure it out. But long story short, I'm gonna discuss topics that relate to me. And who am I? If this is your first time seeing me or watching any videos of me or whatever, I'm Thomas. I am from the DMV. I make content, skits, vlogs, funny like instigation things on TikTok and stuff like that, rage bait. I also like dabble in religion here and there. I'm Ethiopian Orthodox Tohado, so I will talk about that mainly. But I'll also like we'll get into that today because that's actually going to be the main topic today, and I can't escape that. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but we'll get into why. But long story short, me saying that is not to dissuade people from other faiths or other ethnicities. I'm Ethiopian. I mean, I said Ethiopian Orthodox Tohado, but I'm also Ethiopian. From asking me questions. So like, you don't have to be Ethiopian or Orthodox to watch this. You can be Nigerian, you can be Polynesian, whatever. Like, you can be anything. You can come talk to me about whatever it is you may be going through. But today, the first thing we're going to talk about is something that I was originally going to do in a long form series, and I still can, I still might, depending on like the traction that I get here. But I was going to do a podcast regarding religion. Um, Specifically, like I said, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tohado religion. But I tried too. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I haven't tried. I tried on with a different platform, different people, and everything like that. I don't think the vision was there the way that I wanted it to be there. And I'm also like the way I operate, the way I work is like when it comes to anything creative, I like to let it flow. I like to be one. I like to control like the vision of what's going on. Too many people, too many eyes, too many set of hands. Like it doesn't really like my message isn't conveyed. And the like when it comes to podcasts, anything like this, like for example, like I don't really have a script for this, to be honest with you. Like I do have a general layout of what I'm going to talk about. Like I'm not going to sit here and lie, like it's right there. But like I'm not going to sit here and act like I have everything scripted out, like what I'm going to say here, what I'm going to say there. Like I don't even know how long this is going to be. I actually totally forgot like at what point I started this. But the whole point of the story is, and the moral of the story is that I was going to do something religion based, but vision wasn't there. People that I was working with, in my opinion, weren't there, and it just like a lack of control and creative vision, which brings me here, which I'm going to do this. But also going back into like overall, when it comes to something like that, my whole point in doing a podcast of religion, like my idea behind it in the past was you don't necessarily need to be the highest religious figure, the highest, most holy of thou person to talk about religion. And I think that's something that got misconveyed, especially like coming up, because I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm not diaspora. Like I was born here and then I grew up in the faith. I grew up having to learn the language over or like over English or like fighting with English. Like it wasn't as if like I was born in Ethiopia, came here, and like it was like natural to me. Everything that came within my culture had to come secondhand for me because of the fact that I was born here. So for lack of better words, like English culture, even African American culture, a lot of things took like exception or prevalence or whatever. Like it was graded higher for me at a certain point. Obviously not to the point where like it was like 80-20. Like it was very much like 60-40. Maybe early growing up like almost 50-50. But like I'm not gonna sit and act like as if like again like where I'm sitting right now it's not 60-40, like this culture versus this one. But with that being said though, that's for me. And that's again, I like to consider myself, I like to say that I'm lucky. Like my parents and the people around me, my community was very easy at fostering that culture that with my connection to my religion, my connection to my culture, and stuff like that. It was very easy for me um to really get into it. Like I didn't need to like work too hard. My mom, my dad, everybody like aunts, grandma, like everyone was very easy and like lax at getting me into that. Like it was I didn't need to go too far. But there are people who don't have that. There are people who don't have that community behind them and want to learn and want to like, be a part of a religion that is so old, so ancient, so like rich in history and traditions and stuff like that. But again, you have to understand that society and the culture that we live in isn't like it's not with the times, if that makes sense. Like the Ethiopian Orthodox, like no one like when you think of Christianity, not everyone's gonna think about that. Like it's just like the sad reality of it. Most people think of Mike Todd, and most people think of even like the Catholics, like stuff like that, because of the way like organizationally, like it's just structured in the United States or just in general in the Western side of the world, or just in the world in general. That's just my opinion, by the way. One thing that I also want to talk about before I get too deep in like topics like this is my opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, we can have a conversation about it. You can debate me about it. You can leave a comment. We can talk about it, but don't get disrespectful with me because I have my opinion. I think I'm right, but like that doesn't mean that like I'm not open to a conversation. Like that's just me. Like I'm a stubborn to a point person. Like I'm stubborn. Like I'll stand on my point. I'll stand on my ground. Like my foundation is very stable. It doesn't mean that I can't shift. I can't change my opinion. Like I'm not like a rock. Like I can very much pick up and move to like what I feel like is best. Like I'm not just set like concrete on my points. But to that point though, again, like I'm very solid when it comes to like what I think. But don't get too disrespectful with me because it's not going to end well for you. Like I am a certified D1 crash out. Like not D1 actually, I'm D2. Like I used to be a D1, but now I'm D2. I'm a little more relaxed and calm these days. But going back into like my topic about religion, I want people, especially like kids, like teenagers and people like even like maybe my age or a little younger, maybe even older, like people who didn't grow up in this culture or people who left the faith and came back into it now. I want people to really like be understanding or be in the know that you don't need to be at church. You don't need to be wearing a natara. You don't need to be like have to go to a sermon and then wait and talk with people afterwards to build that like to have that connection with people and have that conversation with people. Like while you should go to sermons, while you should go to liturgy, you should go to Kadase or mass or whatever your form of worship is. That's not the only place where you can exercise your like Christian values or whatever, like religious values, spiritual life, and stuff like that. These conversations can happen in the car, on a school bus, at school, at a coffee shop, at a hangout, like anywhere, like at the basketball court. Like it's not so like set in stone that you can only have this at church, which unfortunately, because of like the way that we grew up, that's like kind of like how it's established, and that's how people kind of take it, which is a sad reality in my opinion, because it's like, damn, like you know what I'm saying? Like people really like could have these conversations, could really be in the know more. And I think, or not think, but like I know that like if people are having these conversations more, they would be more inclined to be more curious to actually come to liturgy or to come to sermons or to come to this. Yeah, whatever. Like pause. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like it's more readily accessible when it comes to that. So one of the points that I wanted to talk about too is like, I guess now that I'm doing it by myself, I will talk about how my journey in like spiritual life and religious life started. If you've watched my videos, then you already know that I'm a deacon, obviously. I'm about to be 22, so I got it when I was 13, about to be 14. So this year will be like my 9th year anniversary because it's about to be 2025. Yeah, yeah, ninth. Wow, wow, 8th year, ninth. I think 9th year, 9th year anniversary. Cause dang, guys, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, 9th year anniversary, which is crazy to me because it's like honestly, like, it doesn't, like, really feel that long, but then, like, now I think about it, like, damn, like, I'm old, like, bro, I'm like, on status at this point. But, yeah, so if you watch my videos and, like, like, I think one of them's pinned, like, how I became I probably should update that video, but you'll also get an updated version, like, somewhat in this. I became a deacon when I was 13, but my spiritual life, like, I was going to church and stuff like that before, like, when it came to, like, fasting season and, like, going to church on Sundays and, like, different, like, feasts and stuff like that, like, I wasn't, like, it wasn't something new to me anyways. But being a deacon really ramped up my spiritual life, and one thing that I always, like, told people too, this is, like, not, like, what is it? Like, when people get devotional or I don't know. Like, this isn't me, like, opening up OD. This is me just telling my story, to be honest. If it inspires you for whatever, then cool. But I've told people I think that if I didn't become a deacon, that I would have ended up completely different than what I am or who I am today. And people are like, "Well, bro, you're still whatever." Like, okay, cool. But, like, I'm talking about, like, in the essence of, like, what my trajectory would have been, the type of person I would have been, my values, my virtues, my morals, like a lot of things would have shifted for me if I wasn't a deacon. And that is something that's why, like, and I'm not gonna get too actually, I can get into whatever I want. As a deacon, like, I know people say, like, "Oh, like, like, oh, so and so quit." So, like, bro, you can't quit being a deacon. Like, that's something that, like, there's no such thing as quitting being a deacon. Like, no matter what, you can fall out of the church, you can fall away, whatever. But if you're a deacon, you're stuck with that. Like, it's burned in your soul. Like when you die, like, it's not like as if, like, oh, well, I stopped doing it when I was 23. Too late, bro. Like, you should have thought about that before you got it if you were ever gonna stop at one point. Um, but anyways, but, like, yeah, so being a deacon, I got it when I was 13. I'm now 22, so it's my ninth year. Eventually, like, this year, I'll get it. And not gonna lie to you, like, going back to, like, I would be a completely different person if I didn't get my dikuna. Um, from the age of 13 up until COVID, I was at church 3 times a week. It was very rare that I ever missed a Sunday. It was very rare that I ever missed Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Like, at some point, I was there Friday, Saturday, like, all 3 days. Um, do I agree with that? Sitting here right now, definitely not. Like, like, I don't think I should have been there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Do I think, like, it kept me out, like I said, it kept me out of trouble here and there or whatever? Cool, yes. But, like, I still think that, there are things that, like, as growing up, like, in my high school years and stuff like that, that I should have been able to do. And it's nothing against, like, the people who wouldn't let me go, or, like, obviously, like, my parents, like, whatever. Like, they did what they thought was best in that situation and moment. I'm more so saying, um, like, looking back at it, like, that's not for everybody. Like, going to the next person, like, just because I was able to do it and come out of it, like, laughing about it and, I'm not saying you're trying to say it was the worst thing in the world. Like, it was cool. Like, it was a good experience. Like, even those, like, some, like, weekends, whatever, like, it wasn't like, oh, like, ugh, like, I gotta go to church. Like, no, it's never like that. But, do I think everybody can handle that? And, like, no, like, no, no, like, not everyone has the same tolerance levels for different things. Like, same thing, like, for pain and stuff like that. So that's what I think about that. But yeah, besides Dukuna too, like, like, I would go to YLTC when I was in high school. Obviously, like, COVID really put, like, a stop and everything. And I'll talk about COVID here in a little bit too. But like, so, like, YLTC, the, like, sermons, and obviously I went to Catholic school, like, from kindergarten. So for me, it's like, um without getting too much into, like, different religions and, like what one religion, whatever, like, Catholics aren't too far off from what the Orthodox people believe in anyways. It's very minor differences. So, like, a lot, especially when it comes to, like, scripture and stuff like that, it's pretty similar. So learning, like, I already got a head start, and I still to this day have a lot, like a huge head start when it comes to, like, scripture and, like Old Testament and New Testament, and, like, what happens here and this and that, whatever. So, like, when people, like, you're not, like, we'll get into this in a little bit, but, like, I'm not easily shaken off my foundation. And if we have a, like, theme for every episode, this episode's theme is going to be foundation, because you can't really shake me off my foundation. You can't really move me off my, like, the things that I believe in. Like, it's very, like I said, like, we were talking about me being stubborn at one point, but now I'm more so talking about, like, foundation, what I believe in. Like, there's, like, a lot of core things, like morals. Like, for example, like, no one had to tell me, like murder was wrong. I knew that. Like, I knew it was wrong. Like, no one, like, my conscience was built, and, like, the things that govern your conscience, like, the things that, like, your conscience decides, those things for me, like, are unshakable. Like, no one will ever tell me, like, if I feel morally that it's wrong, no matter what, bro, it's wrong. Like, you're not gonna sit here and tell me, like, oh, so and so. You know what I'm trying to say? But anyways, so where were we? We're talking about Catholic school and stuff like that. So I already had a good foundation when it came to, like, a lot of this stuff. So, like, it went really well hand in hand, like my deaconship and stuff like this. Obviously, for me too, COVID hit. Now, when COVID hit, I was what? I was 17. All right, did I turn 17 in COVID? I turned 17 in COVID, I think. So, like, I was 16. Like, what? Like, nah, was I 16? Because you turned 16 your sophomore year, right? Yeah. So then, okay, yeah. So I was turning 17. Like it was like that. I turned 17 in March. So like the March where everything got shut down. So obviously, I was pretty young back. This is almost 5 years ago. Think, believe it or not, it's been a while since COVID, right? So I was 17, and at this point too, maybe we'll talk about this. This is a heavy, like I'm not gonna say it now, but like the heavy subjects about like what I had to come to terms with during COVID, and I'm still battling it now to this day because it really, not gonna lie, like it really shaped like the type of person I am, and I feel like people would look at me in a different light if I ever did say what I want to say. But I had to come to terms with a lot of things during COVID, and COVID for me um, wasn't necessarily the quietest time. Was it? But like for me, like if you really do know me, which not that a lot of people can or can't say that, but if you really do know me, if you knew me before COVID, um, some people actually, I know one person who can really attest to this, but um, I was a completely different person before and after COVID. A lot of mental like shaping and strengthening came with COVID. Obviously, people were up till 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever, like cool, like you know what I'm saying? Like people were up, having fun, like Instagram. So part of it was Instagram lives. I would be on Instagram, like not the strengthening, but like we'll get to that. But like part of the continued journey of after like my like not journey, whatever, is that I would be on IG Live and we'd be talking about religion, which is when Deacon Chat, I think it was Deacon's Chat or whatever. I made Deacon Chatter, which got a lot of chatter, fortunately. But that's when I really knew for me that I was like, okay, I think I can do content. Like, I think that this is something that I can do. And the topics that we were talking about in the discussions that we were having on and off camera, by the way, like Deacon Chatter was on camera, but like there was off camera discussions that happened during COVID on Zooms, like stuff like that. I used to do like Zooms, like with 200 people coming in and talking, like mine, like 200 people coming in off of something I posted on my story. This was crazy. This was not an e-date. This was nothing but like just you know what I'm trying to say. So it's like it was crazy to me at the time. Um, Talking about politics, talking about religion, talking about culture, talking about relationships, stuff like that. It was an interesting time, but that's besides the point. Or not, it is about the point. But going back into like the strengthening and stuff like that. I had to come to wow, I did that. I had to come to terms with a lot of things during COVID. And I think that if I didn't do that, I wouldn't, like I said, like I would be completely different because I think there was two paths that I could have taken um during COVID. I could have went to the right and I could have stayed in that mindset that I was in. Um and I'm not gonna say like what kind of mindset it was, but it wasn't a mindset that I like looking back at it now, I wouldn't have wanted to be in that mindset. So because of that, the left mindset that I ended up taking and that I'm embracing now, which is I say that I'm embracing it, but it wasn't necessarily like the easiest thing to like do. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it was very much oh sorry, y'all saw the mic. But it wasn't like to this day it's not easy to do. And back in the day, it definitely wasn't easy to like accept and like take that on the chin, if that makes sense. So coming out of COVID though, because I was embracing that mindset, is when I kind of started to shift things. I had waves back in the day. I grew them back out. Coming out of COVID, like I had hair, which is like, you know, you see, yeah, I'm saying cut, fresh cut, type. It wasn't for the videos, for grab pictures actually. But anyways, got off topic. But came out with curls, like I switched things up, like got rid of the waves. And I'm obviously going into college now, like right after COVID, like, you know, like it was 2 years that we were at home basically. Like, you know, people could have came, like we were outside, but like 2 years of school that I did online. So coming out of I'm going to college now. College also really, really, really shaped me and my mental and my religious life and a lot of things that I viewed. When you get to college, college is, people say it's not like the movies. It pretty much is just like the movies like that you've seen. So I'm talking about back then too. Like, you know, the parties are the parties, the frats are the frats, the people are the people. Like obviously people are unique, so you can't really like, you know, it's like not everyone's gonna be like High School Musical, like Ashley Tisdale and whatever. Like that's not how it works. But there are unique people that you have to do like get to know, and like everyone is like not one and the same, if that makes sense. So with that being said, I hated where I was at. Like I absolutely hate it, and I've talked about it on a podcast before. It wasn't about the people. It wasn't. It was actually like it was more so about like the location I was in, and like conditions that like I didn't necessarily was not comfortable at all, stuff like that. Um, but because of that, I hated like college that first semester. Absolutely hated it. So I transferred. I not transferred schools, but I just went to online campus. So I came home, and I did that for like 2 years, 3 years, or no, 2.5 years basically. But that was another mental shift for me that was something else that I took and I had to think about it. Like, now you're home. This is a new situation. You're in college, but you're home. Like, this isn't like this was planned. Like, now you're just home because you wanted to like switch things up, and now you're in a journey that you're uncertain of. I'm not gonna sit here and act like as if like I was 100% certain that where I'm sitting right now, what I'm doing right now, I knew 2 years ago, or not even 2, 3 years ago, that I was gonna be doing this. It was very much like a lot of uncertainties, a lot of things that I was doing. Obviously, like like now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go work, I'm gonna do this while I'm in school, stuff like that. Um, and that first semester after I came back, it was a struggle because now I'm online. Now I have a lot more time. I'm more comfortable in terms of like the people I'm around with and the things that I'm doing, but I'm also not like so used to doing this from home. Like high school, doing like that last year of high school at home was like it really wasn't school. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Like we did Zoom classes, cool, but like like it was very much just like, submit this, haha, okay, cool, you're done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't anything crazy. But college is a different animal. Like college is very serious. Like if anyone tells you college is a joke or whatever, don't let them do that to you. College level, the things that high school like teachers and stuff like would tell you about college is nothing at all like what actually happens, if that makes sense. Um, we obviously, like I said, like it was submit assignments and do this, et cetera, A, B, C, D. But it was more so like the like actually having to sit down and allocate time to do assignments or allocate time to like study and stuff like that. Obviously, it was online, so it's a little bit more easier than someone who's actually going to these like things in person, doing exams in person. But one thing I didn't want to do was let my habits decrease because of the situation that I was in. So that first semester home was hard, but after that, I picked it up. I started working. I started to enjoy myself a lot more. Started working out. Like there were things that I would do, and I started making videos on TikTok and stuff like that. Like I found some essence of what and who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, and who I wanted to be. So wow, this is a yap session, especially when there's no one else talking. But moving forward past that, now obviously I'm in my last year here. My individual journey, I guess, is, I mean, would I say your individual journey is never going to be over? Obviously, like I can sit here and say like, oh, it's here, it's doing this. I'm like, you know what I'm saying, but it's not over, and I can't really speak on it like much more about it than that. But like, it's not over, and for me, this is hard because I very much want to give people my side of things, but I also want to be unbiased. But I'm thinking about it, and this is me. This is my stuff. Like I can do that. I can be biased, but we can talk about it too afterwards. But long story short, where I'm at right now is I'm doing a lot of things differently. I'm doing a lot of like new habits. I'm trying to. So I'll actually say this. I'm trying to read the Bible cover to cover because I mean everyone's I feel like read like parts of Genesis and like we skim through like the things like the filler things in the Bible, but I want to read it like cover to cover. I used to love if you know me, I used to love reading. Like I made like when I tell you reading, I could finish 2 books in a day on everything I love. Ask people who know me. But going back to it, like that's a goal for me, and like setting goals for myself, realistic goals, things that I want to accomplish and stuff like that. Like that's the way that I'm achieving that version of me in my individual journey. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about, and this is even going back into like now that that was it for my individual journey, by the way. So if you have any questions, you can let me know. But it feels like I'm giving a lecture. Wow. But one thing that I do want to talk about is a TikTok video that I made um, a couple years ago. And the reason why I want to talk about this is part of the reason that when I was deciding whether I want whether and I've gone my mouth pause, but that's probably part of the reason why I'm like a little bit here and there. Part of the reason why I was deciding whether or not I wanted to do this by myself or do it with the people that I was doing with or like the platform that I was going to do it on. Part of it was because I thought back to the video that I made on TikTok talking about if you leave the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church without getting a chance to know it, without getting a chance to really delve in it and understand it, you're lazy. Whether you go to whether you become Pentecostal, whether you become Catholic, it doesn't matter what you become. If you leave and this doesn't really just apply only to the EOTC, it applies to any other religion or anything else in life. If I were to try out for the basketball team and I got on the team, but I didn't get any PT, so I just left. I'm lazy. That's because I didn't even try to like fight for a spot. I didn't try to get a starting spot. I didn't try to compete and whatever. I just left because it wasn't handed to me. That's lazy. And I made that video, and there was somebody somebody that came up to me and said, "Hey," like, and this person like knew we're not best friends or anything, but like we know each other decently well. Same faith, same everything, and said, "Oh, I don't agree with what you're saying." I said, "Why?" He's like, "I just don't agree with it." What? If I had that DDG Kai Cenat music, I play it. Doom. What? What are you talking about? And I said, "Okay, well, let's agree to disagree." Funny thing is, I don't believe in agree to disagree anymore. If someone says agree to disagree, let's agree to disagree to you, they just don't want to talk anymore. They just like there's very, very few instances where someone can tell me, let's agree to disagree, and I'll be like, yeah, you're right. If I say yeah, you're right, it's either A, because I actually think you're right, or B, depending on like how to like I just don't want to talk about it anymore. Like you're not an intelligent human being. Like I'm not gonna have this conversation with you because it's going nowhere. You're right. Like let's dead it. But when it came to that person, I started to realize the type of people, the type of Christians that people have started to become, or just in general, like the type of like forget even Christian, like the type of people have started to person that people have started to become. Because how can I like I understand maybe like the way I said it might have been harsh in the video. Maybe the way that I was, facial expressions, my voice is deeper than most. So it's like maybe that took it in a different light. But for for you to tell me I was wrong or you didn't agree with me and you didn't have a reason as to why, and especially now going back into why I'm doing all this, and it's like, that those are the type of people that I'm against. Like those are the type of people that I'm really trying to avoid. Those are the type of people that, for lack of better words, don't really bring much value to the table when it comes to telling people stuff like this, which is why I wanted to be somebody who can come and tell somebody can tell somebody something like this because I'm not gonna, for lack of better words, I'm not gonna BS you. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you something that like, eh, yeah, it's okay. Like, no, like I'm gonna say, yo, no, what are you doing? Like, no, like this is wrong. And that's my Achilles heel, but it's also my greatest strength is that I can't help but be honest. Like I can't help and like I struggle to not be blunt and forward thinking because I think a lot of people are so positive and so positive thinking that like they get confused when it comes to like, yo, like okay, like I get it that like maybe like this isn't like what you want to hear right now, but like you need to. So going back to that video, it was uproar because granted, like I said, I rage bait on TikTok. Like this is more of a serious video, so I'm not rage baiting here, but like I rage baited. I said, oh, like paint people, whatever. Like okay, cool, got that. I understand. Like the uproar. Like I'm not sitting here saying why, but the overall concept of the video was if you never got to know the Orthodox faith, the Ethiopian Orthodox Sohado faith, but yet you felt so comfortable leaving and now you feel so comfortable at another faith just because they speak English or just because the services are like optional, they vary from like 12, like you can really go whenever you want. And you don't need to go on Sunday. You can go Monday through Sunday, whenever is most convenient for you. That's not like there's no structure. Like you're unstructured. Like that's like again, like I said, you can go back to that analogy, but it happens to like whether you're Catholic and then you decide to leave and join the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo faith, but you haven't been to mass in 8 years, or you never even cracked open your Bible, or you've never opened up like I can't remember like is it a catechism or like different things like the Catholics that like use for their teachings and stuff like that, and you want to come to our faith. I don't respect that because if you were so easily swayed to leave that religion without ever participating in it, who's to say that you're A, not gonna ever just leave our religion the next time you get swayed, or B, you're just joining for like an easier time, easier go, whatever, or you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So that's why, like I said, in that video, I thought I articulated it pretty well, and I said, "Yo, if you leave for these reasons, you're lazy. There's no way around it." And I in that moment I specified when it came to EOTC and the Pente Church because that's for lack of better words the most that religion is growing by the numbers, yo. Man, like they're skyrocketing, which is good for them because I don't care. At the end of the day, like like I can sit here and say like there are things that I actually despise when it comes to like that religion in terms of like 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 theological teachings. Not the people, but I'm talking like the teachings that I despise. Like some things like that, like I can't come to terms with. But when it comes to like the point, that point stands for any religion. It's not just us. But in that video, I obviously specified it when it came to that. But the reason why I brought that up is because how we interpret the faith matters. Growing up, like I said, I had a strong community around me to show me like the ways that I'm supposed to interpret the faith and the ways that I should go about interpreting the faith. And I had great teachers. I had like my Nisabas. I had a lot of people that like, again, like if you know me, you know who taught me and stuff like that. I don't need to like, like air them out right here. But I had a lot of people guide me along the way. Granted, like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not sitting here saying I'm holier than thou, which again, part of the reason why I wanted to make this is because I can be very upfront and open with my mistakes. I'm not sitting here telling you get like me. I'm sitting here telling you let's do it together. And not only on top of that, but for lack of better words too, like the things that I'm going to talk about, because this is probably going to be one of the only like religious videos, unless somebody like specifically asks for like another topic. But um, I'm going to answer a lot of the things in a worldly aspect, because for lack of better words, for a larger consensus of the people on social media, on whatever, are thinking worldly anyways. So if I can give you a worldly answer that's ethically and morally correct, I would rather that than give you a religiously, spiritually correct answer that only fits a certain type of people, because for lack of better words, not everyone fits that demographic. Now, do I think that there's some cases where only spiritual and religious answers can fit? Cool. But not everyone's going to be the same religion as me. Not everyone's going to have the same morals as me. So I need to answer that question with some logic behind it. Do I think logic bests emotion? Yes, because you can think emotions out logically. Why do I feel like this? When if you go to therapy, the therapist is trying to get you to think about your emotions in a way that makes sense, which is therefore logic. Like if you're trying to like, like, oh, I feel hurt. Why do you feel hurt? What's hurting you? Those are logical questions that come from an emotional like line of questioning. So that's why I've had this argument with many people before, but I stand on this ground that logic precedes emotions. Emotions build up to logic, if that makes sense. What you're feeling could be valid, but let's build it up. And if we can't build it up, then we need to examine what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. So, anyways, going back to not my script, but going back to what we were going to talk about, we talked about interpreting the faith. We talked about my present day view, and I guess for the last couple minutes or whatever, we're going to talk about like what shape I want it to take, and also in general, like what I feel like small tips for you guys watching. Not don't know if this is gonna get OD traction, but like the hope is I'm gonna continue to do it anyways. Like I said, I have goals for me for this year. I have goals for me in general when it comes to like religion or anything like that. Um, I think, like I said, like the biggest thing that I want to do and I want to do year to year is just end up a different person, or the tiniest bit of a better person than I was the year before. Like that's my motto. Like just end 2024, end 2025 better than you were the year prior. Which I think I did last year. And my motto for this year, I don't know if I mean obviously the foundation stuff, but my motto for this year is standing on business. And when it comes to standing on business, I'm not talking about Drewski. I'm talking about I need to stand on my ground, and I'm not going to be run over anymore. Like I'm not going to allow people to take advantage of the situation, take advantage of me, take advantage of my kindness, take advantage of my, for lack of a better words, my love. Um, and whether that means that like, people are going to have to see that side of me for it to take effect, or people are going to have to feel it. At this rate, I don't care. Like, and that's my motto. And it's not. It doesn't come from a place of hate. It doesn't come from a place of anger. It comes from a place of knowing your worth. Now, is that an egotistical thing to say or a prideful thing to say? I don't think so. I think that when it comes, like, there's a way to do it without it coming off like that. And I think protecting your peace is different than showing up people. If you're trying to show up people and you're trying to make sure it feels hurt, that's where your ego and that's where your pride takes in. And I've had conversations with about this with other people too. I'm more so saying, let bygones be bygones. Let things happen. For the way that I've been hurt over the years, for the way that I've held things in, or for the way that I've seen, heard like things about me and stuff like that, I have every reason to make sure people feel the same way that I felt, or to make sure people know that I know and know that like get back or get my leg back or do something about it. But at this rate, is that what God would want me to do? Now, not forget God, but now forget the spiritual or religious aspect to it. But is that what I really want to do? Is that what's going to make me feel better? Theoretically, maybe in the moment, but now years later, when you think about it, is that really like going to sit well with you the way you got your get back? It's going to feel good in the moment, but I promise you, it's not going to feel good later. And that's what I mean by I'm going to explore things within this series from a worldly aspect and also from a godly aspect or from religious aspect or whatever. Again, mainly going to be in a worldly aspect because I'm not trying to make it fit one size fits all type of demographic because I want anyone to watch this and be like very much in tune or entertained. And what I want people to take away from this, or what I want people to shape or like formulate from these videos, is that this is, for lack of better words, like a learning experience for all of us. But I have been through years of this, and also people who you can be older than me, but everyone's experiences aren't the same. There are some 16-year-olds who have been through so much more than I've ever been in my 22 years of life, or soon to be 22 years of life. So with that being said, that doesn't mean that a 29-year-old is going to sit here and tell me, "Well, I don't care. I really don't care. You could be 35 for all I care." Like those extra 13 years don't give you much over me in terms of what I've been through. This one experience that I've been through could really give you a new perspective on what you're talking about. It's not about quantity. It's about the quality of stuff that you've been through and stuff like and you've seen that really shape and build people. So with that being said, I want people to take this as a learning experience for like not just me, but for you too. And I'm gonna take it as a learning experience for me because I want to hear people. I want to hear people's opinions. I want to like relate with people and I want to see where other people come from because we all come from different walks of life. But the whole purpose is that at the end of the day, when we all die, we're gonna walk that same path together. So with that being said, short, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's what, 36, 37 minutes. I don't expect the videos to be much longer than this. If you stayed this whole mini pod, it's gonna be a pod. I mean, isn't a podcast like 30 plus? So it's a podcast. If you want this on Spotify, Apple Music, or anything, let me know. I can get that done. If you liked the overall content or me like talking stuff like that, the lighting stuff, let me know. If there's anything you want to see, let me know when it comes like, anything. Like this is not just me. Like this is for all of us. So with that being said, I'm not editing these videos. Like I'm gonna see if I can put my intro and outro on this, but like I'm not really. I want people to really like if I stop and I think, I want people to see that I'm thinking. Which is what like I think that a lot of people miss out on YouTube's like that unfiltered, unhinged, or I mean it's not gonna be too unhinged, but like unfiltered, like completely like honest, like naked type of view when it comes to like the videos and stuff like that. So with that being said, all my show yeah, I need to throw this gum out. All my socials, Wavy Tom, 2 M's on TikTok and Instagram. I think same thing on Twitter too. I'll put them in the description of the video. But yeah, hit me up. Let me know. Give me the video a like, a comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. And yeah, we're out. Peace.